In my previous video, there was lots of concern about the upcoming update for Warframe that I talked about. Digital Extremes teased about an orange Corpus door, and they dubbed it as the future of Warframe. Some did not like it, as it hinted about the Corpus update, probably something about the secret laboratories in the gas city, Telia said. Well, before you even judge it, I would just like to remind you that although the secret laboratories are located in the gas city, this doesn't mean that it's purely Corpus tech. Some of them are influenced by Nama, and this could lead to many things. One is that we will see that big sentient in the secret lab as a boss fight in this next update, and the other one is probably the third Orb Mother fight. Just like Space said in one interview, they will continue the new war story, and this means that we will see more Nama invasion in the future. Also, maybe it will not be all Nama stuff, but we would see more amalgams in this next update of Warframe. However, I think that this is not the big update that we are talking, or that content wherein it would take a year or so of development before release. I think that what they are teasing is the next update after Tennocon 2023, and not the major update. This is just a hunch, but I think we are going again with the storyline of the Entrati family, and it would be Place in the Void, but this time around we will not be doing any Duviri stuff. After months, players are hating Duviri Paradox. The new mechanic, wherein you try to control your drifter instead of your Warframe, is cool within a few months, but it gets boring and slow, and many players tend to dislike Duviri content right now, especially that the new in-canon weapons are no longer needed to be farmed. Instead, it can be purchased with Platinum, so you can skip all that Duviri content. For those of you who are thinking that Duviri is the end and Warframe will soon be dead, well, I got a bad news for me. The Duviri Paradox is just the start of an expansive universe. Now, Digital Extremes can do more things in Warframe and tell different story about eternalism and the void. In fact, 2 months ago the developer accidentally revealed something that shouldn't be in the game. It was on the iOS version of the game that they accidentally revealed the Kalimos sequence, and guess what? The prerequisite of this is the new War Quest. So basically, if our deduction is correct, then we would be seeing an expansive and massive update for the new war, then they will connect this to the Void and the Entrati family. And maybe we will finally know the man in the war, and this was the update in continuation with what we saw last in the new war, wherein we saw a big face in the war screaming to follow him into the Void. So what is this Kalmos sequence? Albrecht Entrati was born during the Orokin era, long after the Radiation Wars, but before the Orokin Empire set their sights beyond the Origin system. He had a daughter and a kavat named Kalimos. So this is the head of the family's companion cat, and this could somehow means that this update involves the teased companion Rework and those bunch of artworks of new companion arriving in Warframe. I don't know what dev stream I saw this, but Digital Extremes teased a bunch of concept arts in the game that they're currently working, and it seems like this was the Pet 2.0 that they are talking about. In addition, Rebecca replied to a comment in Twitter also, when asked about Pete Rework, that we should definitely look forward for Tennocon 2023 since they will be revealing what are they changing or adding to the pet system of the game. Although I have no clue yet on what Digital Extremes are planning on their pet Rework, but I'm excited and kind of scared on what they will actually do with the companions in the game. First of all, there are a bunch of ideas already suggested by the community, and the most of common are immortality and command. This means that players would want their pet to be immortal and don't die in a mission, and then they can command their pet to attack or do other actions just like what we saw in the new war with Viso, or even with Kaho. Now, I don't want to be that person who ruins all the hype in the pet Rework, but there are also possibilities that Digital Extremes could nerf some of the meta companions we have right now in the game. Like it or not, there are only 3 usable companions right now. The first one is the Sahasa or the Huras Kubra, so you can partner it with the mecha set, but it's not even that efficient since the dogs are horrible in terms of marking targets. We might see a buff on the mecha set in the future, and maybe the developer will buff the marking process, but right now only few uses the mecha set for the armor and nuke, since the companion is terrible in marking opponents. For general use, I would say there are only 2 companions useful, and those are the Wulfafala for their immortality, and the Smita Kavat for more loot. For the Wulfafala, it's either the Panzer or the Sly Wulfafatla. Most of the time, players go with Panzer because of the viral procs, and the Sly version is just often used for that dodge bonus when using the broken Warframe. The most meta of all companion, however, is probably the Smita Kavat. It's a no-brainer. Why players use Smita Kavat even though they don't understand how it exactly works. First of all, the charm buff often gets read as I get all of these different buffs. Even though we know that it's only a chance every X minutes, players have a hard time internalizing this. Since one of them is always appealing, people tend to see Smeeta as never being a bad choice, and usually see it as a good choice. Secondly, players start using Smeeta early, and because it survives and has some usefulness, they stay with it. The Smeeta cover has decent health and a bleed-out timer, making it viable early through late game. It became part of the meta and continues to be viable. This means the early investment of resources and time to learn Smeeta pays larger dividends because Smeeta is never a bad choice. And lastly, other companions are not as good as the Smeeta Kavat, and this includes the Vulfafila. Any companions just can't survive a whole mission, especially long, high-level content. The buffs from most other survivable companions are only useful for certain builds or playstyles, while Smeeta is never a bad choice and universally good for all Warframes. I'm just scared that somehow Digital Extremes will see Smeeta Kavat's charm buff too overpowered that they decide to take it out in the equation. For them sometimes, or should I say, most oftentimes, nerfs oftentimes, nerfs oftentimes, nerfs are easy fix rather than to buff all the companions in the game. If they will be lazy with this pet rework, then expect that they will change something about the Smeeta Kavat's charm buff. However, I wish that they will not do this, as it will cause another wave of angry Warframe players review bombing the game because Digital Extremes just nerfed their favorite cat in the game. I hope that they have learned their lesson during the nerf of the nuke meta, and while it's necessary, I think that they must be careful with their approach on the upcoming pet rework. Now, I would love to know your thoughts about the upcoming rework for companions in Warframe. Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.